Hey guys, we have an incredible man on this show, but I want to be honest with you. We're going to be talking about some very serious things. If this is triggering for you in any way, and it conjures up any feelings, any buried injuries, let me tell you something. There is an option to get help. He's going to be talking about heavy. I mean, most people don't want to talk about this kind of stuff. That's why we have the show. We want to build men. We want to build women. But this is some heavy stuff that's going to be talked about. So I want to forewarn you before you click on this show that it is deep.
We are happy to speak to anybody that finds it, that has gone through something similar as Eduardo. Eduardo is going to share his heart with us today, and it's actually really beautiful because when we share our trauma and it comes into the light, our trauma then becomes a light for Jesus to shine even more powerfully.
Did you smoke at school?
Yeah.
So you're you're like year 12. I mean, you're age 12 going to school high?
Yeah, I would go to like my GCSE exams high. High. And it was like, I look back and around that time it's like, yeah, cool. But then I look back and I'm like, man.
So if you could say something to a teenager thinking about doing that right now, what would you say?
I'll say it's not cool.
No.
Like,
cool.
You need to think about the future, especially with like every mistake you make now, you're going to look back on and go, wow, I should have, could have, would have done something else, but didn't.
Hey guys, my name is Michael.
And my name is Michelle.
And we want to welcome you to the M&M Show. Today is special. I mean, the world, it's all about relationships. And we have a man on the show today. And I think our show being so focused on men
and women
and relationships, we got a man here today who is a special man. His relationship with other men was affected by some of the things he went through. His relationship with other women was affected. His relationship with God. And he is an amazing, good-looking man from Paraguay.
Originally.
And his name is
Eduardo.
Thank you for being on the show.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. It's great. It's funny to see like it like in person now.
You're like on the show.
You're watching it. It's like
right,
cool.
Right.
And to be here now is great. So thank you.
Yes, thanks for coming. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Wow.
So listen, from Paraguay, originally grew up. How are the men? Because on this show we talk about relationships. So today we're talking about men, and I think one of the issues with men is how we were raised, what we went through. Even myself, some of the stuff I went through that really clouded my view of what it meant to be a man.
Yeah.
Maybe do certain things to women that really weren't that cool. If I could be honest. So, how are the men in Paraguay? How is it? Do you know much about it?
Yeah. I would say it's more of again, we spoke on it a bit before, but it's like they don't have that role model. So growing up, they see men be promiscuous, they have kids or like and it's a continuous thing.
Yeah.
Like they have one girlfriend or wife or whatever, and then another one, and another one, and another one.
Yeah.
And then the kids get brought up and they see their dad's doing this. And a lot of the times the mums, they don't have a voice.
Yeah.
And so they don't say anything. And what happens is the kids get raised up and they gain that and then they do it themselves.
It becomes normal.
It becomes a normality for them.
Yeah. So your mum raised you, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So when's the last time you saw your dad?
It'd be like 4, 5, 6 years now.
Okay. Has that affected you? I mean,
growing up, yes. Now that I'm much older, I'm mature now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
but
mature now, huh?
Yeah.
You're an older man now, aren't you?
I think you're what, 20?
When I was like around.
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 22.
He's 22.
22.
How did you think I was?
I said 20.
It's good.
Yeah. Young face.
I like that.
It's the bangs. It's the fringe.
Handsome man.
Wow, thank you. But yeah, definitely when I was like around 10 to like 15, because that's when like puberty hits and like, everywhere, and like you kind of start understanding things now.
Yeah.
Especially with my friends, they were blessed to have a father on. So when I'd go to their house, I'm seeing, double parents. I'm like, what's this like?
Yeah.
And oftentimes I'll be there, or like, say for instance, we'll be playing the games and they would get into an argument with their dad and they're like, oh man, my dad is this. I'm like, should be grateful.
Yeah.
You have a dad to argue with.
Right.
Whereas with me, it's just me and my mom and that's it. Like I didn't have like that male counsel. So oftentimes I'd have to get that from my mom. And she tried her best.
But she's a female.
Yeah.
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 And that's difficult.
How did it affect you in your like teenage years? Did you rebel? Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it?
Again, growing up a lot, I definitely did. Especially with what happened to me younger, with like the sexual abuse.
Oh, you were sexually abused
yeah.
as well. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
No, it's okay.
Bye.
Thank you for talking about that.
It was from family. It was from family.
Yeah.
And again, because so with it's called COXA, so it's child on child sexual abuse.
Okay.
So what happens is a kid gets sexually abused from a mature adult or maybe from another kid.
Yeah.
And then it happens because they don't understand it. They're not able to comprehend what it is. They do it with other kids now.
Right.
And then it's again this domino effect.
Hurt people, and are easily hurt by people.
Yes.
So this whole thing, I've never really heard
Yeah.
of COXA. I understand the principle. Tell us about that.
So again, so with me, it's like it happened within family. And also where I was kind of raised up as well, like in the neighborhood, there was other kids around and we would play and it would be like very sexual. And you know, like kids these days, it's like you call it house. It's like there's a mom and dad and it's like kind of like innocent things like that. But then they start acting like mom and dad.
Yep.
And start doing things mom and dad's
Right.
would.
Adults do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then growing up like through primary school, it's the same thing. Boys, girls, and then secondary, same thing. And because it became such a normal thing to me, especially at the age of 16, I was raped as well by an ex of mine. Wow. And so, yeah, at that point, the concept of love, the concept of genuineness, anything was down the drain. And so, yeah, I was very promiscuous.
Wow, now that was a very heavy thing you just said. You said, did you say the R word?
Yeah.
And you said by an ex?
Yes.
An ex female?
Female.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happened was, I was like 16, very stupid. I drank like a whole bottle of Courvoisier to myself, like, and I drank it like juice. I went to a party that didn't know was hosted by my ex. Got like almost blackout drunk, basically like paralytic. Then I vomited on myself. It was really bad. Like I passed out, hit my head on the floor, like basically knocked myself out. And then I got put into the room, and then all of a sudden I wake up and I'm naked and she's next to me. And around this time I was in a relationship as well. So I didn't know how to respond. Like it didn't soak in. It only soaked in like a week later when I met my friend and he'd seen a video of what had happened before. And there was like a video of like her on top of me. And like I was like telling her to get off. Like you could see in the video I was struggling with her, but she was like putting her hands, like she was putting my hands down. And so yeah. So because of that as well, it completely like, it's not that I hated women, but it's kind of like, again, like what Michael said, hurt people because they're hurt by people. And so, yeah.
When you saw the video, how did it, like, what went through your mind? That rage?
That's a very good question.
Shame?
Yeah, shame. Because I was thinking to myself, how can I get therapy from this? Like, how can I get help? Like, who do I talk to?
That was your immediate thought?
Yeah, because it's like, I wanted help straight away because I wanted to know how could I go about healing from this? But again, like what Michael said, it doesn't happen that much often where men get raped. And so I would be around friends and they would glamorize sex and make it seem like a cool thing. But I was there like, I was like afraid because now this thing that I was raised up and people would tell me it's a beautiful thing and things like that. And now it's like, it's scary. Like, how do I move on from this? And even I was scared to tell my friends, like, oh, this will happen. Just to being called gay, or like, are you feminine? Like, those type of things. And so.
But you felt super violated, obviously. Yeah. And but you didn't know you were violated until
I didn't know how
video.
to. Yeah.
Did you get counseling?
No. Never did.
You've been through quite a bit.
Yeah.
How did all this, I mean, we've just talked about some of the things you've gone through from a sexual standpoint. And you, again, from my perspective, who you are as a man today is quite respectable. I think the listeners need to know, and I think they probably can already see that you've been through some things. But, we dubbed this episode From Weed to Worship. How did some of the trauma that you went through make you go to drugs? I mean, what else?
Yes.
I mean, even there was some issues with knife crime, gangs, you even same-sex attraction. I mean, tell us, your story is fascinating.
Yeah, thank you, bro. So because I was raised in a Christian family, but I never really had a solid example to follow by. Obviously, we have Jesus, but I never had like a physical person to go to
Kind of
teach
like
me.
model it for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
like have a role model,
Right.
right? I never had that. And obviously, growing up in South London, I got exposed to weed at a very young age because of family members. I started smoking around like 12, 13. And that became like my God, my reassurance, my shoulder to cry on, my escape. Yeah, like literally.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got used to using that as a coping mechanism to like when things got hard, whether it's with school, relationships, friendships, that would be like something I would turn to kind of like help me calm down. And
Did
help
you
me.
smoke at school?
Yeah.
So you're you're like year 12. I mean, you're age 12 going to school high?
Yeah, I would go to like my GCSE exams high.
Mm.
High. And it was like, I look back and around that time it's like, yeah, cool. But then I look back and I'm like, man.
So if you could say something to a teenager thinking about doing that right now, what would you say?
I'll say it's not cool.
No.
Like
cool.
you need to think about the future, especially with like every mistake you make now, you're gonna look back on and go, wow, I should have, could have, would have done something else, but didn't.
Also, smoking marijuana can lower your boundaries very quickly. So
Yes.
then it's kind of easy to experiment with
Vulnerable.
sexual stuff, and you're very vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd the gangs pull you in? How'd the knife crime? How'd that stuff?
So with that, again, growing up in South London, you become very exposed to that very young age, even just through music, social media, and because of that, people adapt that behavior.
Yeah.
And so now being around certain friends, because I bounced around a lot of friendship groups, like in high school or secondary school. I bounced around because I wanted to find my crowd. And what I was eventually like connected to was like basically these misfits. So basically people who were just rebellious, they would, what we call bunking, like when you like skip school basically.
Right.
And that's what I would start hanging around with. Like we would go to like, say for instance, central London and we would rob places, like shoplift. And that's where it kind of started in terms of that. And
Delinquency.
And then it grew. So we would go to different cities like Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, and we would like rob people there. Like rob stores,
Or people or the shop?
Like both.
Both. Like, how would you rob someone? Just grab their wallets? Like,
no, so we
like cops and robber?
We would like swarm people. So like it would be like 5, 6 of us. We'd see someone who's vulnerable and just like
say, give me your money.
Give me your stuff.
And then give me your phone.
They would be like too overwhelmed with what's going on. Like the shouting, like people touching them, like moving them around.
Scared.
And then they'll just give it up like this. Sometimes you would get the occasional like hero. And so there was times where
they'd fight back.
Yeah. And then it didn't end up well for that person.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So
how do you feel now that you're a Christian man? Looking back at that.
It humbles me.
Yeah.
It's very humbling because and it gives me like this indignation to help a lot of people. Because again, I'm just not the only person. I'm not like special in the sense of it's only me that's happened to.
Totally.
It happens to so many people. And so it humbles me.
Yeah,
definitely humbles me.
Something a woman shared on her communion on Sunday, and what broke my heart was when she said, the abused becomes the abuser.
Yeah.
And that's what I did to other people, and I ended up doing that to Jesus. And just as you were abused, it becomes easy to abuse others. And it's so great that you've broken that generation.
Yeah, and
you made a difference.
Yeah,
you're not going to be an abuser. You're going to bring healing to the abused. And I hope you stand up, as I want to, for the vulnerable and not like focus on them and try and hurt them. Yeah. Have you made amends with yourself?
With what's happened in the past, yeah.
Yeah, you're forgiven.
Yeah.
Yourself.
And it's funny because I actually had to like seek forgiveness from those people as well. Like people that I was promiscuous with, people that I cheated on, that I used. Because once you're used, you use people as well again. So that's what I did as well.
So
like
you went back and said sorry?
As much
as you could remember.
Yeah, even to the person that raped me. And she denied it. Like, and she tried to deny it.
Wait a minute. So you confronted the trauma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you confronted the person?
Yeah.
Wow.
Excellent.
How noble. I mean, I think of where you are and I think of what you've been through. And I'm just going to assume, I could be off. You tell me yes or no. Were you ever afraid? Did you carry a knife? Were you in that?
Yeah. At points in time I did.
Yeah.
I was more afraid than wanted to kill.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. There's so many kids, especially living here. These kids aren't trying to. They're just afraid of being hurt.
Yeah.
So that they carry these knives. They do these things just to, and sometimes it happens out of fear.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, man, I respect you. I love you.
Love you too, bro.
And I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I have so many family members that have even lost their lives due to gang violence. And here you are today. You're a testament to what it means to be a man. You've faced your challenges, even facing these people. Who was it who met you and got you like into God? How is it now? You go to South London and you know there's no knife. There's a new spirit. There's a new knife crime you have now.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me about that.
So yeah, after all of that, robbing people, cars, bikes, and things like that, even houses, I saw those those years, like getting arrested. I just started praying. And I said, okay, I see the need to develop my relationship with God now, because all the drugs I tried doing, the amount of time
Didn't work?
It didn't work. Of
Okay.
course not. The sex, it wouldn't work. Anything that I would try, even career-wise, because I used to play American football. Even that, it didn't
right.
fit.
Wait a minute, you played American
That's
football.
right. I forgot.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That's right.
Oh my
And so-
God, as they would say. Oh my God, South London.
My days, bro.
All my days, bruv.
Yeah.
What were you, a receiver?
Yeah, I was receiving.
Now you're receiving the word of God.
Amen.
Bang.
And so yeah, I started praying heavy, and just really, really heavy. And at this point, I was in a relationship, and I was just a bad example to that person. I would be reading the Bible and smoking weed at the same time, and I was like, okay, cool, I need God. I started praying heavily, and then I posted a testimony on TikTok, because I had the opportunity to actually say my testimony at that time, the church I was going to, and I posted a video about it, and someone reached out to me from this church. Said,
wow.
well, no, not from this church, from someone from Birmingham.
Birmingham, they got you Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham, the Brums. They reached out to me, said, would you want to, it was a sister. She was like, do you want to study the Bible? I was like, yes.
No way.
2 weeks of just consistently praying about it. God was like, okay,
Yeah,
here you go.
So you were
Excellent.
tested to have a testimony.
Yes.
And now you have a testimony. Listen, you are special. You are a true man.
You are.
And
Wow.
you recycled the pain.
Yes.
You got something out of it. You're giving back to the community. And,
Unashamed.
Unashamed of sharing your story. Thank you for your vulnerability.
No worries.
Thank you for coming on the M&M Show. You are a bright light to a man that's out there watching, to a woman
Yeah.
that's out there watching that says, hey, people will come back and say sorry. So if you could have a message for the Eduardo that's out there, that's in South London, that's got the knife, that's thinking about,
No hope.
that has no hope, that's been abused, tell us what to, just in a short statement, what would you say to them?
See God with all your heart. Everything that you've been through gives you an opportunity to see God. Every opportunity.
Yes.
God has always been there. You just need to look at him. And don't use what you've been through as an excuse. Use it as a reason to want to develop your relationship with God.
Oh my
That's
goodness,
awesome.
I love this guy. But there you have it, Eduardo from weed to worship. Thank you so much for coming on the M&M Show. And we look forward to seeing how God uses
God is
you in
going
a
to use
powerful
you
way.
very powerfully, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
See you next time, family.